Chicago Bears outlook for the 2023 NFL season. How good will the Chicago Bears be this year? Now, there's a lot riding on Justin Fields going into this season. And pretty much if you're a Chicago Bears fan right now, this is your mindset. We're a playoff team because Justin Fields is going to hit his strides this season in the make or break season. And if Justin Fields ends up hitting his potential and he ends up taking those next steps this year, like what Jalen Hurts did in 2022 with the Philadelphia Eagles, not only is this going to be a playoff team, but they possibly could contend for this division. And obviously, you look at where the Packers are at, you don't really think they're going to have a chance. But you look at the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions, these look to be the two best teams in the NFC North. And for the Chicago Bears, if Justin Fields ends up developing and becomes anything close to what Jalen Hurts was last year, Chicago can very easily win this division. This team is not as bad as what a lot of people may think. Their offensive line was awful last year, but they do have a pretty good left tackle. And they finally solved their answer at right tackle in drafting Darnell Wright out of Tennessee, who was my #1 ranked offensive tackle coming out of this past year's draft. And then you also signed offensive guard Nate Davis in free agency from Tennessee, and he pretty much was the Titans' best offensive lineman last year. The Chicago Bears are going into this season with a lot of expectation that this offensive line is going to be improved and that Justin Fields is going to take the next step. But what's going to help Justin Fields take that next step this season as a quarterback? It's going to be the fact that you finally have given him a legitimate #1 wide receiver. It really pisses me off that people talk down on Justin Fields like he just had this great situation. New coaching staff, learning a new playbook with the worst offensive line in the NFL. I don't give a damn if you can say, well, Justin Fields has a tendency to hold the ball long sometimes. It's like, who cares? Dude had the worst offensive line in the league, and nobody can deny that. Bears, Broncos, either or, you can make the argument had the worst offensive line in the NFL. It's like, you can't get mad at a young quarterback for trying to make a play. And you can't put a young quarterback in that situation and expect them to be successful. Yeah, he may hold the ball a little bit longer to make plays, but let's not make it seem like Justin Fields just had this great offensive line and he was the reason why it looked so bad. The offensive line was not good. You want to know why the Chicago Bears didn't want to throw the football a lot? Because Justin Fields had a terrible offensive line and a terrible group of wide receivers to throw the football to. So the only thing he could do was run the football, which also happened to be the only thing that the Bears could do was run the football at a really high level. Justin Fields has a lot of confidence from the Chicago Bears fan base, as he should. Bears fans should have a lot of confidence in Justin Fields because unlike the national media, you've watched Justin Fields last season and you've seen the receivers that he was throwing to, such as Dante Pettis and Equanimeous St. Brown. And you know good doggone well that Justin Fields was set up to fail last season. So you have a lot of high expectations for Justin Fields having a better offensive line and DJ Moore to throw the football to. You're going to have DJ Moore, arguably the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL at this moment. This dude has put up so many productive seasons with the Carolina Panthers having a no-name at QB pretty much. So you look at what he can do with Justin Fields. Justin Fields may be the best quarterback that DJ Moore has played with up to this point in his NFL career. You're going to have Darnell Mooney coming back fully healthy. You just paid Cole Kmet. You gave him a really lucrative extension. And he was really underrated last year. Did you know that Cole Kmet caught, 7 touchdowns last season in 2022? Where was this? Where was Cole Kmet, this reliable option in the passing game for the Chicago Bears? Because I didn't see it all that often when I was watching the Bears play. And I had him on my fantasy team too. Not just Justin Fields. So it's like he kind of came out of nowhere during the second half of last season. Now, if he can bring how he played the end of last season into this season, and you couple that with DJ Moore and having a healthy Darnell Mooney at wide receiver, this is going to be a really nice passing attack. A really nice passing attack. And with this offensive line getting some reinforcements to help out Timothy Fields, Justin Fields should look like him this season. Now, the defense was really bad last season. Really bad. And it's really concerning when you think that Matt Eberflus, what is he? A defensive-minded coach or offensive-minded coach? He's a defensive-minded coach. He was a defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. And anytime you specialize on a particular side of the football, you expect that to be one of the best parts of your team, not your worst. And the defense, unfortunately, was really bad for the Chicago Bears last year. I mean, they ranked near last in every statistical category on defense. Outside of passing yards per game allowed, they were 31st against the run. They couldn't get pressure on the quarterback, and they allowed the most points in the NFL per game last year, and a lot of yards. So how is the Bears defense going to be this year compared to last year? Well, on paper, this should be a better defense. You sign linebackers TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds in free agency. Tremaine Edmonds got paid a lot of money. He's a really good linebacker. I think he's a little bit overhated. Some people call him overrated. I say he's overhated, rhyming accidentally, because I really like Tremaine Edmonds' game. I think he's really good against the run, and he's also pretty solid in coverage. And TJ Edwards was a stud for the Philadelphia Eagles last season. So you improve your linebacker position, which was a really big reason why your run defense was so bad. Now, you look at the secondary. I think that this secondary is going to be absolutely fantastic this season for the Chicago Bears. I think that this is a really underrated secondary that the Bears have going into the 2023 NFL season. Eddie Jackson, yeah, he's not what he used to be, but I still think he's serviceable. Jaquan Brisker, he's coming up. Like Jalen Petrie, I think that Jaquan Brisker is going to be a monster this year. And this is pretty much the only defensive player that most non-Chicago Bears fans can name on this roster from last season. I really like the addition of bringing in rookie cornerback Tyrique Stevenson from the University of Miami. He was making a lot of noise throughout Senior Bowl. He was really solid during the Combine. And you listen to the early impressions about Tyrique Stevenson. Most Bears fans and reporters that cover this team or really follow this team in depth more than me believe that he's going to be a day one starter. He's that good. And you pair him alongside of Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson. This is quietly a really sneaky good secondary that the Bears have going into this year. But what about the pass rush, JT? Are the Bears going to be able to get pressure on the quarterback? Because they tried everything last season to get pressure on the QB, and it just didn't work. And I don't know if the pass rush is going to be all that improved this year. Now, they did draft a couple of guys that I like, but none of them, I think, are going to be day one impact guys. I think they're more developmental guys. They did sign DeMarcus Walker in free agency. He's an edge rusher. He's been more of a rotational piece or a solid pass rusher at times, but not a guy who's going to be your number one pass rusher who you know is going to consistently give you 8-9 sacks consistently a season. Now, with him going to the Chicago Bears, he isn't breaking the bank, and this could be a situation where he could end up being in for a breakout season. New opportunity, new head coach. And I've always been a big supporter of DeMarcus Walker because he's from my hometown, so we're always going to have a little bit of bias towards him. But overall, looking at the Chicago Bears as a team, this team's success is largely going to hinge on how good Justin Fields is this season. If Justin Fields struggles, the Bears are going to struggle. If he plays well, the Bears are going to play well. And even though football is a team sport, not one player can affect the outcome. The quarterback position has the strongest. I think that the quarterback position, even though it's a team sport, it's still dependent on how well he plays. Okay, if your quarterback plays well, you're going to win the majority of your games. And if he doesn't, you're going to lose the majority of your games. The Bears don't have one of those kinds of teams that is going to be able to survive having bad QB play or even average quarterback play. If Justin Fields is average this year, the Bears probably aren't going to win no more than 5 games this season. But if he plays well, this should be a playoff team. The NFC is not that tough. Justin Fields, if he elevates like how a lot of Bears fans are hoping that he will, this team should at least, at worst, be able to get one of the last playoff spots in this conference. This conference doesn't have great quarterbacks all loaded out division by division like the AFC does. The best QB in the NFC going into this year, at least right now, is Jalen Hurts, and it's nobody else close after him. Justin Fields elevates, takes that next step in his development. This is a team that should be a wild card team. Now, I don't know how far they can go after the wild card round. If they make it, maybe they can win a divisional game. But I think wild card probably is the best case scenario for the Chicago Bears if they put everything together. And maybe they could end up winning this division. The Lions are far from a complete team, and the Vikings, they have a lot of question marks on defense. You're hoping that Brian Flores can, kind of plug up some of those holes with how good of a coach he is, but you don't really know. But when you think about the quarterback position, although they don't completely impact the full outcome of how a game goes, they have the largest influence and largest impact on how well the team plays. Because if your quarterback plays well, your team is going to be put in a lot of situations to win. But if you have a bad QB, your team has to be able to carry that guy and pick him up when he ends up putting the team in bad situations. So the Chicago Bears this season, I got them winning 9 games. I got them making it into the playoffs. So you guys let me know, what are your expectations? What is your outlook on the Chicago Bears going into the 2023 NFL season?